Evidently, we just can't have anything nice in Broncos country. We face devastating injury news today, even though it happened 3 days ago. And despite this devastating injury news, I think we make the perfect move at the perfect time. I'm going to break down why I don't think this will derail what we're doing moving forward. If you're new to this channel, my name is Ben. I'm a diehard Denver Broncos fan. Helps me out a ton if you believe in the Broncos, if you would like and subscribe. If you don't like the Broncos, you're a Jets fan, I think you can just go hit that darkness retreat because ain't nobody in here got time for you because we're going to take care of y'all on Sunday. So the big news of the day is that our leading tackler for multiple years on end, he's got the best hair in the league. He is, of course, Alex Singleton, and you're talking about a leader on and off the field. He is our signal caller wearing the green dot, and on that Brandon Jones interception, he had a non-contact injury, a torn ACL, and there's a ton of things to break down with this injury news and what it means for us. I think the first huge takeaway is I have not seen guttiness like this, where you have a player injure himself, tear your ACL on the 6th play, and he continued to play the rest of the game. He played 3 quarters on one ACL. So the fact that the Denver Broncos were able to hold the Tampa Bay Buccaneers to 7 points with your inside linebacker playing on one ACL, I think is fantastic news. I think there's like a Twitter account out there who doesn't like Alex Singleton and always like tweets this stuff. And one of the things he was playing was like when Bucky Irving like juked Alex out of his shoes and was like, look, he's not that good. And you just look at that play, like he didn't even get juked that bad and still helped make the stop despite playing on one ACL. So I think that's takeaway number 1. Takeaway number 2 is what do we do knowing that he is the signal caller? He's got the green dot. The calls are coming into him. I've been reaching out to some Broncos sources. I was DMing Sarah Bettinger from Locked On Broncos, and he thinks that you could see Strnad or Burton with that. I think it'd be cool. Like PJ Locke has always been my dude and one of my favorite people on this team. And he's on the field for a ton of snaps. Like you see Pat Surtain, obviously the leader of this team. But I think like a safety knows more of the run blitzes and all that kind of stuff. So I could see it maybe going to him, but we're going to keep you all monitored on that situation. Other takeaway from this is I think this is further proof to me how serious Sean Payton was when he talked about how good this team was going to be. This is the second time this season where Sean Payton has kept serious news under lock for so long that you do not see happen anywhere else, which speaks to, number 1, like how tight he has that circle of dudes. Bo Nix, this entire team knew that Alex Singleton blew his ACL out Sunday night at dinner, and we're not hearing it until Wednesday afternoon. That does not happen in most locker rooms where they're like live streaming and leaking and all that. So that Sean Payton has this ship locked down and dudes bought in and believed. Number 2, the things that Sean Payton does say, like I've kept 2 middle fingers for the rest of the league. The next time I win 7 games will be my first time. You need to read more into things that he does say because you know how carefully he doesn't mince his words, dude. If he says something, he means it. So we really have a ton to figure out with missing him, and let's break down kind of what it looks like the Broncos are going to do. I'm now concerned about Aaron Rodgers next week because Aaron Rodgers with, a backup. Just think of all the inside linebacker problems we've already had to lose Drew Sanders before the season even started. There was rumors he was going to be at that. Jonas Griffith, had he stayed healthy, he would have been there. And then obviously to lose Josie Jewell last season. So that is already that's already the weakest position on our defense. And we've tried to, we've gone to one linebacker sets when we've tried to hide Burton and things like that. So it's going to be crazy to see how the Denver Broncos go and fill that gap. But I'm at the point now where I trust Vance Joseph to scheme and figure this thing out, but I don't love this situation. There's no way to sugarcoat that. So Denver Broncos went out and signed an absolute stud. And when you look at him at his peak and Alex Singleton at his peak, you would certainly take linebacker Kwon Alexander. Has played for Tampa, like in his prime. He's played for the New Orleans Saints. He's a Sean Payton dude, and he's also played for the Steelers. The Steelers wanted him back, and about a year ago, he tore his ACL, and he's 30 years old. So if we get prime Kwon Alexander, it's a massive upgrade, but we're getting a 30-year-old Achilles-laden injury Kwon Alexander, and so really we just got to see what we have. There are a lot of people who doubted Dondre Tillman being able to come from the UFL to then all of a sudden to the NFL, and they're like, you can't just be dominant and step into a new a brand new league and be dominant. Well, he got 2 sacks in his very first game because Vance Joseph knew how to use him. And so do not underestimate what Kwon Alexander could be several weeks down the line. I don't love him. His first day of practice was today in Greenbrier at that West Virginia bunker we've been talking about. I don't love him understanding this entire playbook by Sunday, but you're talking going forward. This is when, if the Broncos had a week 5 bye, to be able to get back McGlinchey, to be able to get back Baron Browning, to be able to get back Audric Estime, to be able to get Kwon Alexander up to speed would be amazing. This is when having a week 14 bye is absolutely brutal because it's going to be too late to make any big moves. If we're a playoff team, which I think we showed we could be on Sunday, week 14 bye is perfect. But at this point, this is a little bit sketchy, but here he is, Kwon Alexander out there. We're going to break down some of his film in a Jets preview that I'm recording after this with a Jets insider. So let me know in the comments, what questions should I hit up the Jets insider? I'm pumped to talk to him. But just looking here, I think we could see some really interesting things out of him. If he's even 90% of what he was at his peak, that would be incredible. If he's 50% of what he was at his peak, we're in big trouble. So that is the big news on that front. But I think the uplifting news is just that the Denver Broncos are 1-2, and it's easy to be like, oh, you guys, you're 1-2 and you're feeling your oats and you're all hopped up on your hope, and that's going to come due. But the fact of the matter is the Denver Broncos have lost to 2 teams who are undefeated, 2 teams who have incredible defenses. And if you look at the Denver Broncos record, it's unreal and unfair. And our opponents are 8-1, with their only loss being the Denver Broncos beating Tampa Bay last week. And that's got to have you feeling super hyped and excited. Other reason I'm not that concerned is that I think that our corners are proving to be so good that we can do things to double cover tight ends and work on the middle, but you really can trust that our corners are going to lock down receivers on the outside. And I think you've seen Riley Moss step up in a way that we all had hoped, but didn't have proof of it. Well, now we have 3 weeks of proof of it, and he's going to continue to get better. Pat Surtain's numbers keep coming out, and there is no doubt in my mind that he's the best corner in football. Looking at what he did to Mike Evans last week, you would just be so frustrated if you were a Tampa Bay Buccaneers fan that Patrick Surtain held Mike Evans to 2 catches for 17 yards, and looking that only allowed 1 catch for 8 yards in 32 coverage snaps against the Buccaneers, and that is wild. So the one time, so one of the catches was on Surtain, the other one was on Riley Moss, and that has you very, very pumped. I think the other thing that has you excited is that while Alex Singleton has been a great cover tight end, great covering the tight end, none of our pressures and sacks have come from the inside linebacker position. Instead, it's all these dudes who continue to be healthy. So you look at Baron Browning already with 3 sacks. You look at Jonah Ellis, who already got a sack in his first NFL game. I guess it was second NFL game. Zach Allen playing at an actual all-pro level. You're seeing him outrank Christian Wilkins from the Las Vegas Raiders, and that has you excited. John Franklin Meyer going up against his former team in the Jets is going to be wild. Benito, his get-off was unreal, and just watching the head start that he had on that right tackle was really, really crazy to see, and the Jets just lost their right tackle for next game, so I think that looks fantastic for us. And Tillman, in his first ever NFL game to have 2 sacks, only happened 4 times since 1990 that you have had a guy come up as an undrafted rookie and get 2 sacks in his first game, and that he could be Reggie White. He really looked that good in his first game, and that's all we have to evaluate. You saw what he did in the UFL. You've seen what he did for the Denver Broncos. I think the other encouraging thing is that we beat the Tampa Bay Buccaneers because our defense played an A game. I really think they've played A games every single game this season, and that's going to continue. But our offense has gone from playing like an F game, game 1, to a D game 2, and I would only say they played like a C, an average game in game 3. And when you have a average offensive performance with an elite defensive performance, you're going to win. And looking here that Bo Nix continues to climb. That, remember, coming into the season, Bo Nix was the 32nd ranked best quarterback in the league, and you're looking here, this graphic is giving us EPA adjusted by the times that your receivers drop balls or you weren't bailed out in that way. And Bo Nix is a top 20 quarterback, and you see him beating out dudes like CJ Stroud and Baker and Caleb Williams, who has all the talent in the world around him, and looking that he's already out, like Tua Tagovailoa and Dak Prescott and Jared Goff all are some of the top paid quarterbacks in the league. And if Bo Nix can even just jump into the top 15, we will make the playoffs. And that's just not even something even doubters would dispute. Other great news here is that as you look at our injury report, Bo Nix had his best game last week, and that was without his favorite target in weeks 1 and 2 of Devon Vele. Devon Vele is off the injury report. He had some rib issues, and while he probably will continue to be sore, there's no need to worry about him injuring those further, and he'll be back. And then Josh Reynolds was limited in practice, but we know he was limited in practice last week and played this week and played very well. So other than the fact that we lost our inside linebacker, the injury news is pretty good. And I know that's like saying, well, other than that, Mrs. Lincoln, how did you enjoy the play? Like I know losing your inside linebacker, there is no easy way to cut that. And I'm very concerned for this week. I think we'll patch this together. I love that we get a get-right game the next week against the Raiders. And I think you see putting a corner on Bowers and a corner on Devontae, and they have not been able to get the run going, so I feel good about that matchup with the Raiders, but I want to win so bad this week because Jets fans are absolutely insufferable. And then, just the last bit of news here that makes me not as worried about the Denver Broncos and losing Singleton is the fact that Vance Joseph is scheming, and he figures out exactly what he can get away with because he really has some of the best corners in the game and some great safeties in the back. And so I think that gives you a lot of flexibility, but it's going to be crazy to see who gets that green dot on their helmet and is making calls. We will keep you up to date on all of the latest news as the Denver Broncos are going to defeat the New York Jets, and that's something we can all believe in. Oh, come on, I need that bounce. Sweet mother.